So, we're talking to each other, and maybe a few other people will see this video. And they might not know how we all know each other,
Yeah.
and might not know, although they probably know your background better than ours, but that you're from Georgia, and that part of the reason we're hanging out right now is because we were lucky enough to get to meet you while you were working on a project that you guys recorded together.
And
And
Jamie grew up loving roots music and bluegrass and old time stuff.
Mhm.
So we got
Yeah.
to know each other, which is
It
awesome.
was, man, that was very seriously still one of the coolest experiences I think I've ever had in my professional life. Like,
Whoa, me too.
I, I'm serious, like getting to put together two pieces that are so diametrically opposed to each other in some ways, and
Yeah.
also still absolutely have like that musical connection that's just, I think, undeniable through the ages.
Yeah, that was,
It was so cool.
and so early in the COVID thing, it was like one of the first things we did, uh,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I did. And
Mhm.
you came to the house and we
yeah.
did it outside and it
Mhm.
was wild. And then the studio, we were all still very scared back then with the kids
Mhm.
and stuff. Didn't
Mhm.
know how, but anyway, it worked out really well. It was really fun.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful. I've heard from people from every angle in my life, both professional friends and stuff like that, and then like just Armurchie, Georgia, like my
Yeah.
family. Like it's kind of it's really flooring how powerful it was. I think for people to see something that was made them feel like a part of the possibility of like classical music or the possibility of bluegrass coming from the professional side. So it was so much fun, and you guys were so nice to have me over.
It
Well,
was
I
fun.
wish it hadn't been the height of COVID stuff because we would have loved to. Yeah, there was an immediate connection with you.
Yeah.
It just felt really fun and easy, and we would have loved to have had you come in and babysit our children for hours while we
Yeah.
went hiking. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, but it would have been so fun to have you come inside and hang out. Anyway, I look forward to that someday. Just really getting to say,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'll have to bring a sword the next time since
Actually, that is still a very big part of our lives. At foam swords, huge.
I love it.
Might be on to phasers by then. Everything's Star
Ooh.
Wars now.
Oh
Oh
man,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We can get them, see if we can get them in the Trek world at some point.
absolutely.
So your kind of journey, like, back into sharing your roots more with the roots, your foundation of your love of music through family and community in Georgia is part of what led you to us, and what led us back to you was this experience we have now, which is venturing into the form of the song cycle.
Yeah.
Which is something neither of us have ever done. Now, of course, Béla's ventured into the world of what? You've got something in your mind.
No, I was just thinking that when you sent us a list of song cycles to check out, and Abby's thing was, her point of view was, let's check all this stuff out, let's study this stuff. And my thing is, I don't want to hear anything. I
Yeah.
just want to go blind. And so it
Yeah.
was interesting trying to find out how to get from nowhere to somewhere together and create something, because that idea of the song cycle is actually pretty open definition.
Exactly.
Which you said.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
right. And so
It's changed so much throughout the ages. I mean, you could ask about specifically what it meant in certain, time periods, but what it means now, especially, is really a loose definition. It's very much just a group of songs that has some unifying something to it. And I kind of love that it can be whatever you want. That's actually one of the things I love about song cycles. But I'm so excited to learn like where it's landed for you guys. I've been
it
so
just made me think about how when Abby first came up, she also was. I said, let's try first before we listen to anything. Let's just try and see what we come up with. And so we started spitballing, and Abby started coming up with stories about aliens and all kinds of wild, crazy stuff. And I was like, well, this is not where I thought we were going. And I said, how about something traditional? And she was like, well, I guess, but aren't we being creative? And eventually we found our way towards a storyline and a sort of set of songs and we came up with a pile of possible songs that we thought were really good songs that would sound good with orchestra, that were possibilities. But then we, ditched most of them,
Mm,
started to find a unifying thread of some things that seemed to work together. We kind of built out from there,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
including Abby writing song and a lot of instrumental music too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is an orchestrated song cycle then.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
orchestra,
full orchestra.
Colorado Symphony.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
I know, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to see if I can get there. Seriously.
I mean,
We don't know whether it's going to be as awesome or major flop, belly flop, but whatever it is, we're committed. We really love what we've come up with. But you know, you get when you're creating your own thing, there's a point where you kind of have to commit to it, and then you kind of start loving it and
right.
believing it. And we're kind of at that phase, which you know, sometimes years later you listen back and you go, "How could I have thought this was the thing?" And sometimes you go, "I was right. I was onto something. I really still feel good about it." It can go either way. But we have to commit at this point because we're 3 weeks out, and we have to learn how to do it. And now we're in.
And I think we have moments where we look up at each other and go, this is really special,
Yeah.
you know, and we're excited because we've been so into the nuts and bolts of how to piece it together and make it work musically and thematically and emotionally, you know, and make it a ride that is doable for us and the orchestra, but also one that really connects to the audience and
challenges, but also has a warmth and maybe some sort of sadness. Some of the things you can do with an orchestra, some of the
right.
emotional creation, you know, outlining you can do with an orchestra to a song. You know, we had this great experience with Colorado before, where one of the conductors there orchestrated one of our traditional songs, like an old. Is it a shape note song?
Yeah, it's presented in shape note in the Sacred Harp, canon, and so
Scott Scott O'Neill is the conductor and often orchestrates for Colorado. Anyway, he wrote this really beautiful chart for that one song and Abby got to sing, and that was the one time I think you had gotten to sing in front of an orchestra, and it was really he did a beautiful job. And so he's been helping us with this, although I've done a lot of the writing of, you know, the parts and stuff. He's fleshing them out and making sure that they are on the right instruments. You know, when you write on a computer,
totally,
you don't quite know. And you're an outsider like me. You're making a lot of guesses. Should this be on the oboe? Would it sound better in the high range of the clarinet? Should it be on the flute? Should the strings double? That kind of stuff.
A whole difficult thing too. That's something that even I do this for a living. I sing with orchestras all the time, and I guarantee I could maybe hear it in my head, but I don't know where the actual ranges are. I don't know what the possibilities are. So that's a big learning curve.
Yeah, and they each have a different color too. You know, there's a reason why you put it on this, but I don't know that reason. So I know the notes, and I can get some notes that I like, you know, if I'm trying to come up with a support for something Abby's written or something. But so anyway, he's been helping us with that, and a couple of big creative ideas he's had, which are neat. He made a big swirling calliope sound that I wouldn't have known how to orchestrate. And he created for a tune of mine called Circus of Regrets from one of my old albums that's got a lot of poignancy in it. And he was able to take it somewhere we never would have known where to go with. So it's been neat, but a lot of it is coming from just us with our instruments, and then figuring out what goes with them here at home using a composing program. And we're going to see what happens in a few weeks.
Is so cool.
It is. You know, at first I was trying to come up with these big themes that then we sort of plug traditional pieces into. And then it felt kind of forced, didn't it? It was more like there was this dance between us of just finding stories that felt like things that our own identity and representation could with authenticity share, and then mixed with this like search for interesting harmony and harmonics and moves between keys, and a piece that Béla wrote a long time ago for the College of the South in Sewanee. He kind of was feeling it reemerge, and so we started piecing it in between songs that felt like they might connect, and it felt like this bigger channeling took over, where it was like, okay, stop thinking you have to have this perfect theme with all these supporting characters, and just let go and start putting music together and just see what happens. And that's how this really came together.
And then sometimes, like if you write songs, I can't tell you how many times you talk to writers and they say, I really didn't know what that song was about till years later. You know, their unconscious kind of takes over of like, what's the connection between these different things? And and I think we're kind of working in that way where we feel something goes together, but we're not exactly sure why. But then we know these two things go together, and then it was like, well, okay, well, what goes with that? What is that trying to tell us? And
Yeah.
without getting too concerned about every single word, but as we've gone along, we've come up with sort of a justification for the reason the songs go together, and that then the instrumental music in between it fits the mood or
Yeah.
takes it to the next place. So
Yeah. So it sounds like it's kind of, and please tell me, is it through composed? Like, is it one gigantic work where songs are kind of interspersed within? Or is it separate songs? Like, how did you guys end up landing?
Abby thinks of it more in three
I
movements,
do. I think of it in three movements.
but I
Yeah.
think of it probably more like an album. Like
Mhm.
like if I did an album, I would have plenty of songs that went right into each other, and other times when you stopped for a breath before the. And I like suites and things that connect. So there's a lot of music. I feel like you could put it on straight through. It's a straight through experience, but there are pauses in a few spots.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I guess I do think of it as three movements, and the first movement being this introduction. It's like a plea to our divine nature. It's with words that start with that, and they're just original. But
Just original.
I mean, all I mean is they don't have the power of oral tradition behind them, but they do in the sense that it emerged from a person who's derived from many millennia of other people. But the and then it goes into a song and an original song about migration and looking for a better life and having it not unfold the way one thought. And then it comes about it sort of
Stories of people who have had that
who have had that
experience.
experience, both traditional and not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of the first movement, is like this searching, longing, and then also the mortality and the nature of our short time here. And then the second movement kind of goes into it. It goes into like regret and wondering what our purpose is here, and
that's where
why
that
are
song,
we even here?
That's where this song, we're actually able to use this song that Scott orchestrated back then called "Am I Born to Die?" And it fit in because one of the things that we already had that kind of told us, well, this works with both of us and orchestra, so can we build out from here? But we didn't know for sure we would use it. But it works. It fits in the through line of it. And so then we go into that.
Yeah, so you have Circus of Regrets and Am I Born to Die, like right next to each other in the second movement. And there's a pause. There's a pause on each side, it's punctuated. And then we dive into this third movement that essentially is looking for, it's like bringing a lot of musical themes together, but there's original material, new material that's asking like the self to find the spark, to find the fight, and to like go no matter what, even so it's we're mortal, and it's short and it's hard. It's also worth the fight, so.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, even just from the psychological standpoint of that music that has existed before still being there, but that new voice coming in and encouraging you forward, like that's really powerful.
Yeah, and then at the end, we used a traditional song called "Little Birdie," which is I don't know if you could tell her that some of just the verse.
Maybe it's just been done, by so many people, and it's traditional. Little birdie, come and sing to me your song. Got a short time to stay here and a long time to be gone. So it's really simple,
Right, but which led it to being really nice orchestratable. When it's a simple idea, you can do a lot to it. So we created a lot of different sort of harmonic settings for it. But also one of the fun things, this was Abby's idea, was the idea of using the orchestra. I mean, there's a bird theme. I mean, we come back to at the end of repeating that song. We also come to a Hazel Dickens song, which is "Fly Away, Pretty Bird," which is a beautiful song, and it's all about after we get over the hump with this whole storyline and everything, it's about moving forward. But this bird theme kind of moving through the piece, and trying to figure out how to make the orchestra sound like a flock of birds taking off, and doing sound effects.
Yeah,
which is something we're going to find out about when we get there, what they really sound like. We've tasked Scott with presenting us some options so that the piece can start off with the sound of a whole flock of birds kind of landing, and different bird sounds throughout happening that the orchestra can make. And you think about sometimes like when the oboist takes out their double reeds and they make these sounds, and they always sounds like birds. And there's the one on the cellos when they go up the harmonics and you hear it sounds like seagulls. And so there's things like that, but also just the sound of, you know, imagine it on bows or sweeping through the orchestra. But this was Abby's thought was, how could we do that? I think it was a really neat idea. And we're hoping we can build a sound kind of canvas of bird things that can happen between some pieces and to start and finish and through different spots. So that's sort of hard to, you can write it, but you don't know what it sounds like till you hear it. So
totally.
See if that flies.
What was that?
We'll see if that flies.
Well, I was going to ask, do you guys have time with the orchestra to be able to play with these things?
We have it's about a 40-minute piece. I think we've worked our way up to 40 minutes, and we have three rehearsals. You know, the orchestra length rehearsals, which are what, 2 hours ish. Is that about right? Yeah. So it's not a ton of time, but then we have 3 performances.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Oh gosh, and that space is going to be perfect for this. It really is. It's kind of in the round.
You know that venue, the Betcher?
Yeah. It was actually one of the first professional gigs I ever had, was singing with the Colorado Symphony.
Really? Oh, wow. Tell us about it. What was it?
Oh gosh, I was doing a Bernstein piece, actually. 2 of them. One was the Jeremiah Symphony, which was the big hunk of it. But then the conductor who was there at the time, Maren Alsop, she studied under Bernstein. And so she wanted to do another one of his pieces, which was an opening prayer. And I remember I came in, it was only like a 5 or 6 minute piece, but I came in way up in the rafters, somewhere behind the orchestra, and I sang this Hebrew Yuvarechecha, text out above the orchestra as they were doing it. It was just very, very cool.
Yeah.
Neat memory.
Yeah, they're very open. She's great. I got to do one thing with her. New composers thing that they were doing out in California. You probably know about it. But I also got to do something in that hall where I stuck some people in the rafters. I had my 3rd banjo concerto, and I had like a New Orleans funeral dirge happening with trumpet, trombone, and clarinet, and we stuck them way up there. I wonder if it was the same spot you were in. It's a neat effect when you use the room that way, and I know you do that in opera. But you forget that you have a lot of leeway with the orchestra. You think it's got to just be in everything where but you can ask people to do things, and
well, it's the analog version of, like Led Zeppelin, when it goes from one speaker to the other. Like, you have so many options on how you can have it sound in an acoustic space like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie, would you give me some advice about singing with an orchestra and doing it several nights in a row, and
pacing yourself at rehearsals, or what? How do you handle that?
What the relationship is like between a singer and an orchestra?
And altitude.
Well, it's I love singing with orchestras. I do. Your best friends are going to be the conductor and the first chair, the concert master, because the concert master they're really going to help set a lot of things with the orchestra, including volume of sound and stuff like that. Are you going to be mic'd, or are you going to be unmic'd?
We'll be mic'd.
Okay, you're going to be great then. You're going to be great. Yeah, my advice is enjoy it. Because you know your voice, you know your instrument, you know what you can give on one night and still be able to give the next and the next night. So you know your voice better than any other human, but sing out if you can. And then there are moments when I sing with an orchestra, my favorite place to sit, hands down, in a concert, is exactly where the soloist gets to sit on the stage with an orchestra. And so if you can find some time in a rehearsal, don't just enjoy it. Like, let the sound wash over you. Just turn up stage, get to watch the players, watch their faces. This is one of my, I can't do it during a concert thing. I can't exactly turn up stage away from the audience, but having that moment of being able to connect with the different players is something that I always really love to do, because it's a team sport. You know, I might be the soloist, I might be the one up in front, but I want to play with the team. I want to be a part of it. I don't necessarily want to be the soloist. I want to be a soloist amongst a sea of soloists who are, we're all kind of coming together. So enjoy it. That is the best advice I think I can give, because you're gonna be mic'd, so you don't really have to worry about the vocal reserves to get you all the way to the back of the hall and balancing out like what that means for 3 performances back to back. That can be a challenge, but the microphone gives you beautiful leeway to be able to use your own instrument in different ways that I don't typically get to use mine. It's funny, I'm actually kind of starting to toy with the whole, like, what if I start using microphones for some of my concert stuff? What different music could I do that doesn't require me to be the microphone, if that makes any sense? So enjoy it, use it, come up, you know, to me, I would play around with all of the colors in the rehearsals. I would try things out, see what sits with you, see what you want to pass away, you know, all of that kind of thing, but just enjoy the heck out of it. It's one of, I mean, you said a little earlier you got to sing with the orchestra. Isn't it such a rush?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and when the bass comes in, it's like, oh, like, oh, yeah. So exciting.
So you like the bass?
Ooh, the big bass.
She likes the big bass.
I'm a bass and brass girl myself. When the brass comes in, I'm like,
yeah. That tuba does it for me every time.
I'm telling you.
No, it's a phenomenal feeling. Yeah, I'm a little overwhelmed by it. You know, it's like I have these moments where I'm like, why do I get to do this? And then I'm just like, because I do. So I'm here and I will, you know, but it's like,
you can't worry about
breathtaking. It's breathtaking.
When you get into it, you can't be doubting. You just have to commit, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm used to that flavor of imposter syndrome, and the answer that I think is the reality answer is because we've done the work, and also that audience needs it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't show up because of many other reasons than they want or they need to. And what a privilege it is to be able to offer some hours of beauty and escapism and thought to a room full of people, especially a room that large. It's a privilege and a healing one at that. And so that helps me step away from my own imposter syndrome. But yeah, I hear you on that.
No, that's helpful. It's really wonderful to hear. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When is it debuting exactly? You guys said 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
February 2nd will be at Beaver Creek, but then February 3rd and 4th will be at Betcher. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh.
I know, right? And when does yours start?
We open a week from today, actually. So we're about to have a week of stage rehearsals, which sounds so glamorous, and there's nothing like waking up at 7 a.m. to warm yourself up for a 10 a.m. rehearsal to get into a wool cassock. So I'm excited about it. I'm really, really excited about it.
Okay, so this is you know, I don't know what it is, but anyway, have you ever had a gown designed for you for a certain piece?
I have. I've twice. Well, and I should say that twice I have commissioned gowns that were for specific things. Both of them happen to have been television, you know, kind of like it's going to go wide, that sort of thing. But then within the art form, a lot of the time they're making costumes brand new. So yeah, it's in either situation, it's just very, very cool to be, whether I am part of the art direction making it happen, or if I am the body it will be on that will be singing in this. And so therefore I have different kind of points of how I would contribute to the making of it, or at least to the asks that happen, especially if it's a corseted kind of thing. But
Right.
Right, you got to be able
right.
to sing.
Exactly.
And feel good. Just feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I've got one of those long torsos. I'm basically as tall as I am standing up as I am sitting down. So
I have a long torso too. I know. Yeah.
The operatic breathing actually happens below the torso, really. It's from all the way down in the diaphragm. So when I have a corset, as long as it doesn't go too long, I'm usually pretty good. But one of those life skills I never thought that I'd gain growing up in Armurchie, Georgia. So
Well, thank you for this, Jamie.
my
It's really
gosh,
fun
yeah.
to talk to you and
it's
hear
my
your
pleasure.
thoughts and hear what you're up to. And
Yeah, well, I'm so excited to hear how this goes, and hopefully I'll get to see some clips online or something, or even show up in person if I can. I'm so excited that you specifically you two, are creating a song cycle, and I can't wait to hear about it.
well, if you get a note from us saying on February 1st, it says it went great, you'll know we're lying.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Code for nope.
Code for rescue. Thank you for encouraging us from the very beginning too. You were, the first person we reached out to as an artist to say, hey, can you just help us get some spark and get going here? So thank you so much for that.
I am truly humbled and very, very honored, seriously. And anytime, truly. Y'all know I think you two are just two of the best. And I love that you guys are tiptoeing in this direction and just checking it out and seeing what comes of it. And
yeah, let's see what happens. And boy, I wish we could be there to hear you at the Met. We will be. We will. We will someday. It's on our wish list.
Yeah, we've decided we have to someday go on a vacation as a couple, and I have a feeling it might be to one of your more exotic locations where you're doing a show.
Ask anytime.